Hello again everybody, I hope you're doing well. This video didn't quite turn out how I planned it to, but I think it still turned out pretty decently. It's more of a story time than anything else, but I think it's interesting at the very least. So my initial plan was to travel into Leeds city centre, something that's somewhere that's not that far away from where I am, and it's a decently sized place. And my intention was to go around all of the charity shops to see if I can find any football shirt memorabilia. So I've seen plenty of people do this online, social media, YouTube, with varying degrees of success. You've seen people find these amazing shirts at great prices, or you've seen people get bugger all. And for me, similar to the football shirt mystery box phenomenon, I'd rather see for my own eyes what is possible or isn't possible, and then I can make my own thoughts based on that. So what I did is I got up bright and early on Saturday morning with the intention of arriving in Leeds for about 9:15, which meant that I wasn't going to miss the shop's opening, and that gave me the best opportunity to find the shirts, because obviously I can imagine there's probably quite a demand. I know there's a lot of you out there doing this. So we travelled to Leeds in the rain, and I don't travel to Leeds too often, so I know the sort of the nice main area, but I wasn't certain where the specific charity shops were, and I couldn't find any. Couldn't find any at all. I was there for 3-4 hours, and I found 3 charity shops, which isn't many. I'm sure there's plenty. I just wasn't in that part of the city centre where they were located. And I went into those 3, and I found nothing. Nothing at all. I barely found any men's clothes, and the ones that I did were just sort of dress shirts, the occasional jumper. Certainly weren't any football shirts. Now, that sample size is too small, so it's difficult for me to determine whether or not it's worth it. So when I got back to where I live, the town I live, it's a little smaller, so there's more charity shops, which kind of makes a little bit more sense. And I thought, well, let's just have a look in there also. Now, bearing in mind the day had sort of progressed a little bit more, it was sort of early to mid-afternoon, and again I found nothing at all. So I think I was in maybe 7, 8 or 9, something around that ballpark, charity shops, and nothing appeared, nothing at all. So for me, on this one occasion, doesn't seem like the greatest of pursuits to focus on. If you're looking to expand your collection, then okay, if you're just walking past them, there's no harm in going in. If you're looking specifically to flip them and make some money, you're going to have to be pretty dedicated. When you take into account travel costs, just your own time, I don't necessarily think it's worth it, but I'm sure there's people out there who can make it work. So I'm not going to be certainly going out there every weekend trying to find football shirts. But whilst I was in Leeds, I felt like, well, let's just still look for some other places to buy shirts from anyway. Just make a day of it. And I'll run through a few of the places that a typical person in the UK could find football shirts from. And for those of you who aren't based in the UK, it maybe gives you an idea of what we can do over here. So, after the charity shops, I went into TK Maxx. So TK Maxx is just a large retailer that just do everything from clothes, homeware, stuff to that effect. And you think, well, TK Maxx, they sell football stuff? On occasion they do, yes. You've obviously got to go to the sportswear rail, and on occasion, over the last few months, I've seen Arsenal shirts from a few seasons ago. I've seen Manchester United shirts. They have sometimes weird, just sort of fan shirts, like a crest, and that's kind of it. I saw once a Barcelona shirt which didn't have the manufacturing logo on, which was a bit weird. Don't quite know what that was about. But on this occasion, we found a couple of Bayern Munich sort of jackets, which for me, not really interested in, but I know there's quite a few of you out there who like to have this sort of clothing. And the price was pretty decent. Also, the price is always pretty decent in TK Maxx. So that is an option for you if you're ever out and about. Now, of course, in the UK, the primary place to buy football shirts for in person is probably going to be Sports Direct. It's where I purchased this shirt from and all my other Chelsea shirts for the most part. Depending on where you live, most places will have one, but of course if you live in a bigger city, Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle, wherever it may be, you're going to have a bigger store. And I think possibly Leeds one is the biggest one I've been to. It's got 4 floors, and the top floor is dedicated to football shirts and football clothing and football boots, trainers, AstroTurfs, etc. So we went into there, and they had a good selection. As you can imagine, they've got most of the big teams in the UK. Then you throw in the rest of the big teams from Europe. And then on top of that, you've got occasional, obviously, national teams. And then teams like RB Leipzig, you have Lyon, you have a couple of the MLS teams, like Atletico Madrid, etc. Now, at this point in my collection, I ain't going to be collecting any of the English teams other than Chelsea, though I still needed to get the home shirt, but I wasn't feeling it right then. I've got most of the other big teams. I don't have Madrid yet, Real Madrid yet, or Juventus, so that could be an option. And obviously the season's still relatively fresh, so the prices are still relatively high. Now they had the Lyon third shirt, which I do look to pick up at some point in the season. I'm not going to be paying full retail right now. I'm in no rush. Then they had a sales section where it was like last chance to buy, and they had the Tigres shirt. And the price was something like £59 or £58 on discount. Last chance. That's not a discount, my friend. If it was £25, I would have bought it. Anything more than that, I don't think I would have even gone for it. So that was ambitious. And that's kind of what you should expect with Sports Decks, really. If you're looking for one of the bigger teams, you'd be fine. But maybe 10 years ago, something to that effect, I remember you could step foot in one and they would have shirts from pretty much, well, not everywhere, but you'd have some cool stuff. You'd have like Olympiacos, AEK Athens, you'd have Cologne, you would have like Porto, just these smaller teams, but now it's just the big ones. So we didn't buy anything from there. Now, with it being a weekend and it being in a city, there is a second-hand market. So it's like an outdoor market. So it's a place for people. You can rent a stall and you can sell whatever you want: books, DVDs, clothing, food, sweets, flowers, jewelry, just anything, any bit of bric-a-brac that you have. And it's an opportunity just to sort of get rid of some stuff that you don't need. And it's quite a common place for you to find football shirts that are questionable in their nature. And I thought, well, let's go and see what we could find, and we could maybe have some fun with that. So the first stall I came across, it had a round rail with a load of football shirts on, and from quite a distance you could tell that these were very suspect. The problem was the man who was sort of in charge of this stall, he was a big guy. I'm tall, but this guy was big. He seemed very nice, but I didn't feel too comfortable pulling out my phone to sort of take photographs or film. I thought I would just personally look, and he was like, "Oh, you looking for any shirt in particular?" I'm like, "No, not really. Just browsing." They weren't great counterfeits, so I kind of went, "Oh, I'm gonna go now. Thank you." Came to the next rail. This one, she had some interesting shirts, actually. She had some slightly different ones. She had like cricket teams, rugby teams, and then she had some football teams, of course. And then she had teams like International. She had Orlando Pirates, and then some, the more generic ones. And this one I pulled out. I was looking at Orlando Pirates shirt, and I was trying to take some photographs and look at the codes, etc. And I promise you, she grabbed the rail from me and just stole it from me and took it like around the other side. So I'm stood there now with this shirt, and I don't know if she was trying to deter me from looking at it or she was just moving it around, but by this point it was midday, so I'd have thought she'd have had the stall set out as she wanted. I looked at the price tag and it still says £69 on it, so I don't know if she was expecting full retail. It could have been a real shirt, to be honest, that one, but I was kind of put off by the fact she just absolutely just aggressively stole them from me. So that was that one, and then I came across another one, which was the best one. And it had a massive, massive sign on the front saying, "One shirt for £10, 2 shirts for £15. I mean, the bargain. I don't need to... Imagine if I bought all those. I gotta get to 1,000 football shirts easy. So, of course, at that point, no one's going to be expecting those to be real, and they really weren't. There was actually no one looking over the store. I don't know whether they were expecting people to take them for free. I don't think anybody cared, to be honest. They had a lot of PSG shirts with like Mbappe and Neymar on the back, Liverpool shirts. They had a lot of personalization of just random names, like names that I don't even... They're just surnames of any person, and I don't understand why they're even there, to be honest. And I also thought to myself, 1 for 10, 2 for 15. So you could potentially be selling 2 shirts for £7.50. Where are they getting these shirts from at that price? Like, generally a fake shirt, £10 to £15 is probably what you spend on like DHgate or wherever you get them from. £7.50 each, like, they must have stolen them or something, I don't know. But there's no profit to be made there for sure. And, you know, I can see there's a market for it, literally. And but it's a false economy. As soon as you put that in the wash, it's going to fall apart. Like, these were not good fakes. Like, you've seen good fakes. These were just terrible fakes. The stitching was horrendous. But I thought it was fun just to have a look around and see what's out there. Maybe I should go and buy some one day and we can do a video. If I can get a real version and a fake version, we can compare and see how bad it really is. So once we've done there, there was one more place. Oh, yes. No, sorry. It was another charity shop. It was this place. No, of course, I don't mean that. It was the Leeds official club store. Now, depending on where you are in the UK, it could be located at the stadium, or if it's like a bigger city, it could be in the city centre. Also, Leeds actually have 2 club stores in the city centre, and it's always weird when I go into one because obviously it's kind of the enemy. Usually I'm wearing a Chelsea shirt myself, so I get some weird looks. But in this occasion, I was wearing a regular t-shirt, and to be honest, it looked quite a nice place. The third shirt from this season is actually really nice, like a violet sort of colour. It's not a colour that you expect to see too frequently. So if I was a Leeds fan, I probably would have picked up that one. But as you can imagine, it's only got Leeds stuff. The prices are quite high because the season has just begun. But I guess if you're just visiting the city and you want a souvenir or a memento, you might be inclined to buy one of those. But that's it. Those are the sort of the options for somebody who lives in the UK in a regular city. Now, depending where you live, if you live in Manchester or London, you can of course go to the classic football shirt stores. So that's quite nice. And there are some other dedicated stores located throughout the country, I'm sure. But for me personally, it's going to be very difficult for me to add to my collection without either A, spending a lot of money, or just duplicating something that I already have. But you know, we got back, we didn't get anything new, we didn't get an opportunity to sell on to make some money, but I've shown you guys something, maybe a little bit of a capsule into the football shirt collector based in the UK. I probably will end up going to Manchester, the classic football shirt store at some point this year still, maybe the middle of November. I might take a day off work just to go out and inquire. But that's it. Let me know. Does anybody else have any additional tips for people based in the UK? And let me know what you think if you don't live in the UK. How does it compare to where you are? But you know, one video turned out into another video. I think it's still pretty decent. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.